under a sky that never forgot. Clara Whitmore stood at the edge of the pasture as twilight spilled gold and violet across the plains. The ranch had lost cattle, money, and hands, but it had never lost its sky. It watched her now, vast and unblinking, as it had when she was a girl dreaming of forever. She pressed her palm to the fence rail, feeling the grain worn smooth by years, and wondered how something so steady could still ache so deeply. Jonah Hale arrived without ceremony, riding in with the evening breeze, like a memory Clara had never finished with. He was broader now, quieter, his eyes shadowed by roads she'd never walked. When their gazes met, time faltered. The years between them collapsed into a single breath, sharp, unsteady, unforgettable. Their words were careful, almost polite, but the air between them was thick with history. Clara noticed how Jonah still watched the horizon before speaking, as if afraid of what staying might demand. Jonah noticed how Clara no longer reached for anyone's hand, how strength had replaced softness. They parted that night with dust on their boots and longing they refused to name. Morning brought truth. The ranch was failing, the soil exhausted, the sky withholding mercy. Jonah offered help quietly, without expectation. Clara bristled at first. Pride was her armor, but when she saw the sincerity in his eyes, something loosened. The land, she realized, was asking them both to be braver than before. Jonah slept in the old bunkhouse, where laughter once echoed and plans had been whispered under blankets of stars. Clara lay awake in the main house, listening to the wind brush the windows, remembering how his voice once lived in the quiet with her. Neither slept well. Both dreamed of almosts. Working together came too naturally. They moved in sync, passing tools without asking, reading each other's silences. Jonah brushed past Clara in the barn, his hand grazing her sleeve, and the contact lingered long after he stepped away. Love didn't announce itself. It revealed itself in muscle memory and stolen glances. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, mirroring the tension between them. One night, Clara finally asked why Jonah left. Her voice didn't accuse, trembled. Jonah had no easy answer, only the truth that fear had driven him farther than any dream. The storm broke outside, rain drumming like a confession neither could take back. Jonah told her everything, how he believed loving her meant becoming someone worthy, and how running felt safer than failing in her eyes. Clara listened, tears slipping silently, realizing that love had never been the problem. Fear had been. She reached for his hand, then tentative, forgiving, real. The storm hit hard, threatening fences and fields alike. They fought it side by side, soaked and breathless, shouting over the wind. When a beam fell and Jonah shielded Clara without hesitation, something irrevocable shifted. In the chaos, love revealed itself not as passion, but protection. Dawn arrived, gentle and pale. The land bore scars, but it still stood. Clara and Jonah sat together on the porch, shoulders touching, sharing silence like a promise. He kissed her, then not hurried, not desperate, but certain. The kind of kiss meant to last. An offer came for Jonah steady. Pay easy miles, he told Clara, without expectation, refusing to ask her to choose for him. She told him she would survive either way, but her eyes betrayed hope. Jonah realized staying wasn't sacrifice. It was belonging. Jonah stayed, not because the land needed him, but because Clara did, and because he wanted to build something honest. They spoke of the future in soft voices, planning repairs, gardens, children they wouldn't rush but wouldn't fear either. Time passed, gently, the ranch healed inch by inch. Love grew deeper, steadier shared laughter, worn hands, quiet evenings under stars. Clara learned to lean. Jonah learned to stay. Spring arrived softly, almost shy about it. Green threaded its way through the once tired fields, and Clara noticed how hope returned in small, steady ways. Jonah rose before dawn each morning, now not out of duty, but devotion. He repaired fences with patience, tended the soil with reverence, and spoke to the land as if it could hear him. One afternoon, Clara found him standing at the far edge of the property, measuring a stretch of open ground. He told her he was thinking of planting trees. There's something that would take years to grow. The idea startled her. Jonah had always lived by movement, by what came next. Planning for years felt like a vow spoken without ceremony. That evening, they sat together on the porch as the sky deepened into indigo. Clara rested her head against his shoulder, listening to his steady breathing, realizing how deeply his presence had stitched itself into her days. Jonah kissed her hair, slow and reverent, as if afraid to disturb the miracle of belonging. Love, she understood then, wasn't loud. It was chosen again each morning. It was roots sunk deep enough to weather any storm. The wedding wasn't planned. There were no grand invitations or white linens only. A clear morning, a borrowed ring, and the open sky. They stood in the pasture where the grass grew thickest, hands clasped, faces turned toward each other, as if nothing else existed. Jonah's voice wavered when he promised to stay, to choose Clara and the land every day that followed. Clara's vow was softer, but no less certain. She promised him home. When he kissed her, the wind lifted gently, carrying laughter across the fields. The sky stretched wide above them, holding the moment like a blessing. There were no witnesses, but the land that had shaped the man, the future they had claimed. That night, they lay together, listening to the prairie breathe. Jonah traced circles on Clara's palm, and she smiled into the dark, knowing that love had finally found its place. Not in dreams, not in memory, but here under a sky that never forgot. The sky was the same shade of blue it had been the day Jonah left and the day he returned. Clara often thought about that, how the sky never chose sides, never judged, only watched and remembered. Years had gentled the land. What once struggled now breathed easy fields greener, fences standing straight, the house warm with life. Laughter carried on the wind now, mingling with birdsong and the low hum of morning work. The ranch was no longer something Clara fought alone. It was a place they built together. Jonah stood beside her at the rise, overlooking the pasture, his hand warm and familiar in hers. Time had etched its marks on them both, silver at his temples. Lines at the corners of her eyes, but love had only deepened, settling into something steady and sure. The kind that didn't ask for proof, the kind that stayed. They spoke little as they watched the sun sink low, painting the prairie in gold. Words had never been necessary between them, not anymore. Everything important had already been said in years of choosing each other. In mornings shared over coffee, in evenings ended beneath open stars. Jonah squeezed her hand once, grounding her in the present. Clara leaned into him, heart full, knowing without doubt that this quiet, hard-won peace was the forever they once dreamed of. Above them, the sky stretched endless and knowing, holding every memory it had ever witnessed. And this time, it remembered a love that never left. Like and subscribe. Aurora Tale Wild West. God bless.